Among the boom of engines and the gleam of chrome, one name stands out in the history of the automobile: Louis Chevrolet. He started developing his mechanical skills and interest in bicycle racing. Young Louis worked at Roblin Mechanics Shop in Beaune for 10 years as a mechanic, honing his craft. This early exposure to the world of machines would shape Chevrolet's skills as an engine designer and set the stage for a life that was far from ordinary. Come along with us as we explore the interesting yet unsettling story of Louis Chevrolet, a guy whose life was everything but typical. Get ready, because this is the disturbing story of Chevrolet. Part 1. Early life and mechanical interests. Born in Switzerland on December 25, 1878, Louis Joseph Chevrolet was the son of a watch and clock maker, Joseph Félicien Chevrolet, and Angelina Marie Chevrolet. He grew up in a family of 6 siblings, and when he was around 6 years old, the family moved to Beaune, France. In Beaune, his father taught him the basics of mechanics and the importance of precision in creating machine parts. This early exposure would shape Chevrolet's skills as an engine designer. To help support his family financially, young Louis worked as a guide in a local wine cellar. While working there, he designed a more efficient wine barrel pump, earning recognition and continued use in the Burgundy region. Chevrolet's interest in speed began to develop during his time in Beaune, where bicycle racing was a popular weekend activity. He tinkered with gear ratios until he found the perfect combination for his physical abilities. Even as a teenager, shortly after finishing grammar school, Chevrolet became an apprentice at a bicycle shop. The owner had a troublesome 1.25 bhp De Dion tricycle, which Chevrolet decided to fix. He studied repair manuals, worked on the tricycle during his free time, identified the issues, ordered necessary parts from the manufacturer, and successfully restored them to a working condition. Chevrolet's involvement with bicycles continued as he started building them during the winter and selling them to tourists in the summer. He named his bicycle business Frontenac after a 17th century governor of France's North American colonies. This name would later become associated with his automobile company in the US. During this period, Chevrolet came into contact with automobiles for the first time, sparking his fascination with this emerging technology. This fascination would eventually lead him to America, where he played a significant role in the automotive industry. Part 2. From bicycle apprentice to automotive journey. After his bicycle manufacturing venture faced challenges, Chevrolet pursued a career in the emerging field of automobiles. He began as an apprentice at various auto factories, including Darracq, Hotchkiss, and Dion Bouton. In 1898, he secured a position at the Moores Auto Company. In 1899, at 21 years old, Chevrolet was sent to work at an auto dealership in Montreal, Canada, where he served as a chauffeur mechanic for 6 months. Later, he relocated to Brooklyn, New York, to work for the De Dion Bouton Motorette Company. During his time in New York, he had a remarkable opportunity, stepping in as a substitute race car driver for Fiat. In 1901, following his father's passing, Chevrolet brought the remainder of his family to the United States. This marked a significant turning point in his life. He later became a U.S. citizen in 1915. During the early years of the automotive industry, car companies gained attention and publicity by participating and winning in various races, including road, track, hill climbing, and endurance events. Louis Chevrolet got his big break when, on May 20th, 1905, at the Old Hippodrome in New York's Morris Park, he beat famous drivers Barney Oldfield and Walter Christie. Driving a powerful 90-horsepower Fiat, he set a new record by reaching 68 miles per hour, even on challenging curves. Later that same year, Chevrolet defeated Walter Christie and Henry Ford in a 1-mile Cape May, New Jersey race. In 1905, he also entered into marriage with Suzanne Trevon, and the couple had 2 sons, Charles Louis and Alfred Joseph. Part 3. Racing Glory and the Buick Team. At the age of 27, Louis Chevrolet became a sudden sensation and caught the attention of William Durant, the founder of General Motors. Durant was so impressed that he asked Louis and his younger brother Arthur to Flint, Michigan in 1907 to be his chauffeur. Back in those early days of auto racing, drivers were more about gaining fame than fortune, so many had to work other jobs to make ends meet. Durant organized a race right behind the Buick plant in Flint, where Arthur landed the chauffeur position due to his cautious driving. However, Louis, who effortlessly won the race, was invited to join the Buick racing team. Over the next 3 years, Louis Chevrolet achieved numerous victories for the Buick team, including a notable win in the 158-mile Yorick Trophy race in Lowell, Massachusetts. According to racing historians from that era, the only time Chevrolet lost a race was when the equipment failed. Unfortunately, between 1905 and 1920, Chevrolet had to spend 3 years recovering from serious accidents. Due to these numerous accidents, he came up with a safety innovation. He added a stake in the middle of his car. This stake saved his life on multiple occasions, but sadly, he couldn't do the same for his riding mechanics. Eventually, he invented the roll bar, a mandatory safety feature in all race cars. In 1909, Chevrolet opened a garage in Detroit, Michigan, where he started creating, building, and testing car engines with 4 and 6 cylinders. He was known among friends as a perfectionist and an incredibly hard worker, often putting in grueling 16-hour workdays. Louis strongly disliked delegating authority, preferring to handle the most important tasks himself. He was also described as impatient and quick-tempered, not particularly fond of taking orders from others. However, one thing that stood out about Chevrolet was his unwavering loyalty to his family and friends. Part 4. Designing the first Chevrolet car. In 1910, when William Durant faced a dispute with stockholders and was ousted from General Motors, Louis Chevrolet stood by his side. Chevrolet offered to create a small, high-end touring car. The outcome was a remarkable 6-cylinder automobile, the Chevrolet, showcasing his exceptional design skills. This new car came with a relatively high price tag of $2,150, but still sold 3,000 units in 1912. Over the next 2 years, it turned a profit of $1.3 million by selling 16,000 vehicles. Chevrolet cars introduced several innovations, including a counterbalance crankshaft, the first gear shift lever in the middle of the car's floor, and the first out-of-the-way emergency brake under the dashboard. In 1914, Chevrolet decided to part ways with the Chevrolet Company when Durant introduced a more affordable car under the Chevrolet nameplate to compete with Ford. Louis Chevrolet didn't want to be associated with low-cost vehicles and eagerly wished to return to his passion for racing. So, he sold his Chevrolet automobile stock to Durant before its value soared. Part 5. Return to racing and ventures after World War I. After World War I concluded, Chevrolet rekindled his passion for racing. However, a mishap occurred when he acquired new vanadium steel steering arms before they were properly heat-treated. All the steering arms failed except for the one on his brother Gaston's car. In 1920, Chevrolet's 8-cylinder Frontenac, driven by Gaston, triumphed in the Indianapolis race, marking the first American-built car victory at the Indianapolis Derby since 1912. The win thrilled American racing enthusiasts. Chevrolet continued racing until November 1920, when his younger brother Gaston tragically lost his life in a Los Angeles race. In 1921, another Chevrolet-designed car, a Monroe Frontenac, driven by Tommy Milton, clinched the Indianapolis race. Part 6. Business ventures and challenges. Following these racing endeavors, the Frontenac Motor Company faced financial difficulties, leading the Chevrolet brothers to manufacture and sell special cylinder heads for souped-up Model T Fords known as Fronty Fords. During its peak, it produced 60 cylinder heads daily. However, the Model A's arrival led to their business's downfall. Louis Chevrolet's business acumen was not as sharp as his engineering skills. He faced financial setbacks, including a significant loss when he attempted to create Frontenac passenger cars. He also became involved with Albert Champion, founder of Champion and AC spark plug companies, but their partnership soured due to personal issues, resulting in a physical altercation. While automobiles remained his true passion, Louis Chevrolet explored other interests. In 1925, he delved into speedboat racing, winning a regatta in Miami, Florida. He also enjoyed trap shooting and golf, succeeding in numerous amateur golf tournaments. Part 7. Contributions to aviation and later years. The Chevrolet brothers ventured into the aviation industry and developed an efficient aircraft engine called the Chevrolet 333. Unfortunately, poor management led to the downfall of this venture as well. Louis Chevrolet then partnered with Glenn L. Martin, a Ford dealer in Baltimore, to start a new aircraft company. However, the stock market crash in 1929 dealt them a severe blow, and Chevrolet lost its stake in the company. Later on, Martin successfully utilized the engine to build the Martin 4333, also known as the Martin Bomber. In 1934, Louis Chevrolet assumed a consulting role at the Chevrolet division of General Motors, where he continued until health issues forced him to retire in 1938. His later years were marked by personal losses, with the passing of his eldest son in 1934 and the destruction of much of his memorabilia and engineering drawings in a fire at his sister's home in New Jersey. Louis Chevrolet passed away on June 6, 1941 during a visit to Detroit, Michigan from his retirement residence in Florida Florida. He was laid to rest alongside his brother Gaston at the Holy Cross Cemetery near the Indianapolis Speedway. In 1969, his groundbreaking contributions were acknowledged when he was posthumously elected to the Automotive Hall of Fame. In the fascinating story of Louis Chevrolet, we've observed a life marked by innovation, racing victories, and challenging times. Stay tuned for more incredible stories, and don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications. Until next time, take care.